What up, YouTube? It's Heretic here. I am back from Michigan State, and today we're going to look at the deck I played for Michigan, and unfortunately barely missed top cut by 1.6% on my tiebreakers. Record of 5-1-1. I started 1-1-1, went to my lunch break, came back and swept from there on out, ran the table 4-0, finished 5-1-1. Sadly, ended up getting 9th place, so still feeling a little bit rough about that, but in any case, we're going to go ahead and take a look at this deck. This is 2 cards off a list I got from one of the Pokemon Trading Card Game's very best players, fellow PokeBeach premium writer Andrew Mahone. And so he and I played very similar versions of this list, but anyway, I'm going to go ahead and go over this real quick. This is Vespi March, and if anyone who knows me and knows that I've played Night March a lot this year, and that I prefer to play it with Vespiquen because for some reason it's always worked out better for me that way, even though people around me say don't play it with bees. I still do. So we have a 4-4 Vespiquen line this time instead of our previous 3-3 line from Cities, and this actually has become the main attacker in the deck more or less in this particular build. Be Revenge doing 20 damage plus 10 more damage for each Pokemon in our discard pile, having such wonderful synergy with Night Marchers. And then our only Night March attacker in this deck is Joltik. For 2 colorless is able to Night March for the standard 20 damage times the number of Pokemon that have Night March in your discard pile. So the big thing here is just making sure that we can get our Night Marchers, our Pumpkaboos, and our Lampents, as both of them are pretty much useless, other than being in the discard pile to fuel Joltik's attack, to get him into the discard pile as early as possible so that we can start using Joltik and Vespiquen to attack. And then, because only Night Marchers work on Joltik's attack, our 4 Pumpkaboo and Lampent, which are essentially dead cards in all other situations, are obviously our first 8 targets to discard. We also have 4 copies of Unknown since we run Vespiquen as well. So rather than playing Acrobike or Trainer's Mail, we use Unknown, which we can put on our bench and then discard it from the bench to draw 1 additional card and also increase Vespiquen's damage output by 10 damage, much like we did in Vespiquen Vileplume. And we also play 3 copies of Shaman EX because more Pokemon, more damage output for Vespiquen, more things we can discard with Battle Compressor, and we can continue to deal huge numbers of damage. And while Night March can potentially hit up to 220, oftentimes it will cap out around 180 to 200 on our last Night Marcher, depending on our prizes, meaning that Vespiquen will be the more likely candidate to take out Mega Evolutions when we are not able to hit for weakness. So like Mega Manectric and stuff, we're going to use Be Revenge primarily to knock that out. Also great against Seismitoad EX, just all-around solid attacker in general. Both of them really are. Vespiquen having a little more muscle, being a little better against Bats and against Oblivion Wing, Baby Yveltal, and the such. So 27 Pokemon total. Next we have the standard 4 copies of Battle Compressor that you play in every Night March deck, because, as well as every Vespiquen deck, just because. 4 Ultra Ball to search out our Pokemon, discard cards from our hand, increase Shaman's draw count. Again, very standard. 4 VS Seeker, same concept. And here we play 4 copies of Puzzle of Time, essentially replacing the 2-2 line of Milotic. I never really spent that much time playing the Milotic version of Night March the way that Andrew Mahone did, but I can definitely understand how powerful it was. I had a buddy of mine who played it, and he did very well with it, ended up getting 2nd place at a Cities. And Puzzle of Time is really just a crazy card. And even if you only play 1, you can play 1 early game, or if you toss 1 early, like you can play it, rearrange your top 3 if you're not drawing much off Shaman, set up your next turn draw, or set up something you can draw off of Unknown. Really just help you get something a little 1 turn sooner. And then you can play 2 copies to retrieve the previously used copy of Puzzle of Time, as well as 1 card, and then just the one that you retrieved can then be used with your 4th copy. So really just a lot of ways you can use Puzzle of Time. We also play 2 copies of Pokemon Catcher. This card just straight up strikes fear into people's hearts, I've noticed, and it has been a very powerful card. Obviously a brutal effect, gaining the effect of Lysander on an item card, even though we need a coin flip, just been so outstanding. A little bit flippy and risky, obviously, but very powerful effect, and there have been times when I've Puzzle of Timed for 2 of those just to seal up a game. And so that's been pretty darn good. And then 1 copy of Startling Megaphone. This is primarily for cards like Fighting Fury Belt, if I'm not hitting for weakness, getting it off a big EX to enable an OHKO, and also to deal with Focus Sash against fighting decks, because obviously you're going to want to have some way to get rid of that so we can take our OHKOs. Finally, we play 2 copies of Floatstone. There are a fair share of games where we start either Shaman, Unknown, maybe a Combi if we're going second, or, God forbid, a Pumpkaboo, and you really just need to get that thing out of the active spot. So we do run 2 Floatstones for that. We also run Parallel City to bench lock ourselves, get Shamans off our bench so they're not easy pickings for our opponent. And so you may notice we do not run Dimension Valley, so that's why I said Pumpkaboo is not an attacker really in this deck at all. We don't want him on the board. If I have to choose between Pumpkaboo and Unknown or Pumpkaboo and Shaman for my starter, I will almost always choose Unknown or Shaman. Sometimes I may choose Pumpkaboo if it's Shaman, just because I might be able to draw into a better hand. As far as between it and Unknown, the choice is pretty much always going to be Unknown. And then, as my hand would have to be pretty dead, otherwise I desperately need to draw that 1 card. And then we have 4 copies of Professor Sycamore for our basic draw power off of supporters. I also play 1 copy of Teammates, pretty much a mainstay in every Vespiquen and Night March deck, outside of maybe Vespiquen Vileplume. So mainstay for Night March regardless. When something gets knocked out in your opponent's previous turn, you can turn around now and play this and add 2 cards, any 2 cards from your deck to your hand. Get 2 puzzle at a time, you can search your discard pile. Grab 1 puzzle at a time and grab a VS Seeker setup to do Teammates all over next turn, and then, you know, if you got resources for the given turn, and then you can just stream stuff even more. You get another card out of your deck as well. And then we play 1 Lysander, because we pick and choose knockouts, in addition to our 2 copies of Pokemon Catcher, just being able to take out EXs any EX Pokemon that, or threatening Pokemon that may be on our opponent's bench, or on their board that we just can't have there. Pick and choose knockouts, pretty simple. 1 Hex Maniac, this is for Green Ninja, Bats, Aegislash EX if we were to see it. We gotta have a way around that. Can also be helpful against decks like Trevenant and Vileplume. Just really good overall, and definitely I felt like was necessary in this deck. And then finally, 4 double colorless energies, our only form of energy, so more reason why against special energy hatred that we absolutely need to have Hex Maniac available to us. But that is Vespi March, and again, the list is only 2 cards off what it was when Andrew Mahone first gave me his list. Ironically, he ended up putting in the same 2 cards I did, only he took 2 different cards out. I don't remember exactly what 2 cards he took out, but the 2 cards we both ended up adding in were Parallel City and Hex Maniac. So we both agreed that those were necessary. We just made different decisions as to what to cut for them. But this was my list from States, and we're going to play a couple matches with it, and so I can show you how it works. Okay, so we go up against Pokebeard. Okay, well, I'm not going to be poking any beards anytime soon, since I shaved recently, but regardless, bad puns aside, or jokes, we see a Rayquaza coin. That's kind of cool. Mari actually has a gold one of those in real life. So our opponent is going to win the toss and go first. So, oh god, and there we go, starting with a lone Pumpkaboo that we don't want. Fortunately, we have a Floatstone and a Professor Sycamore on hand. We can get a couple of our Lampents in the discard that way. Kind of get a jump start and hopefully get a Joltik or something to attack with here. So let's see. Going against Psychic Electric, I'm guessing Manectric Bats is probably going to be what we're going to see here. And it looks like that is indeed the case. So going up against Bats, something I actually was very fortunate not to hit at all, and a red card. Yikes. And so we still get a Professor Sycamore, so that's good. And we're going to see our opponent's Sycamore here, but we are, looks like, going to lose a double colorless right off the bat, along with the Puzzle of Time. Unless I top deck like a Joltik or a Combi. Something that would likely just get picked off by Golbats and Overrun next turn. So we actually do top deck a Combi, so we can go ahead and play that. Give it the energy. At least if it was a Joltik, we could have attacked with it, but whatever. We'll go ahead and play the Professor Sycamore, and we'll throw down an Unknown here. And, oh man, realistically, we're probably just going to end up passing the turn here, I guess. I mean, we could make the case to use Farewell Letter. I guess wouldn't be the worst decision on earth, but I'm just going to leave it there for now, I think, and hold the Ultra Ball as well for next turn, so we can try to get a Shaman into play, and then maybe play Hex Maniac to prevent any bats he doesn't play this turn from coming out next turn, and just eating us alive. Now, when I was at States, I've played against a lot of Dark decks, 3 Eviltalls and a Darkrai, so definitely a little different. I went against no bats. My one loss came against Vespiquen Vileplume. So, this is going to be a little different, and not good to see 3 Zubats on the board just like that. It's definitely not what we want to see when we've got a bunch of low HP Pokemon hanging out. So we see a Muscle Band come down. And hopefully he doesn't get to knock out on our Combee so we can evolve it into Vespiquen. But here we see a VS Seeker, so Professor Sycamore coming out of our opponent's discard pile and being put right onto the table. So he's going to definitely dig him for some Golbats. We see him discard Lysander, a Lightning Energy, and a Crobat. And there is Golbat number 1. 20 damage onto Combee, which pretty much tells us we're going to see another one right here. And so we'll just wait and see. He plays an Ultra Ball, maybe. Instead, we see an Enhanced Hammer. So maybe we won't see the second one. And yes, we will. So, kind of confusing as to why he played the Enhanced Hammer now, unless he's got like a Shaman to draw some more cards, since he can knock out the Combee anyway. And he will do exactly that. So, it looks like we will be digging for a Joltik on our turn. Of course, we're going to need some energy, so probably going to end up still having to go for the Shaman here. We see a Trainer's Mail. And let's see what comes out here. There's a Shauna, so he's going to have a supporter for next turn. And we will see Swoop across for 30 onto Pumpkaboo, 10 damage onto our benched Unknown. And we draw, and there's another Ultra Ball, so that is actually a very solid top deck right now. I'm going to go ahead and take a look at discard pile here. And, well, there is a double colorless in there. So we can throw these 2 away. And it looks like we are going to have to pitch the Hex Maniac, and we may be able to get it back. We'll go ahead and grab a Shaman out of the deck. And then we can go ahead and play another Ultra Ball, discarding Vespiquen and Hex Maniac, as we're going to try to get the Puzzle of Time play going here. There's a Joltik. Let's see how many Shamans. Looks like they're all in here. Now, we discarded a pair of Lampents. Oh, no, wait, no. We got red carded. So there's only one Night Marcher in there, so that kind of stinks. So we're going to go ahead here and draw 5 cards off of Shaman's setup ability. And, okay, so we got a Battle Compressor here. So we can drop a couple of, or probably, yeah, a Pumpkaboo and a couple of Lampents. The other thing is maybe we could drop Teammates here, too. I think I kind of like that idea. So we'll get a couple of those, and I think I passed Teammates over here. Yeah. Since we do have a VS Seeker in hand, it could be between that and Hex Maniac. So we'll go ahead and put the Teammates there. We can put another Unknown down. And I think we'll probably send the Unknowns next. So this one's got a damage counter, so let's get rid of that. And we see a Lysander. Probably not the most useful thing right now, since there's still plenty of bats just kind of raring to go. So we'll use Farewell Letter once again. And we need a Floatstone here as well. So a Floatstone and a double colorless. So we don't have a Floatstone we could get. We could try to go for the Puzzle of Time play here, or we could just get a Floatstone and a double colorless directly out of the deck. I think I kind of like the Puzzle of Time play here, though. So we're going to go ahead and do a VS Seeker. We're going to grab Teammates. Unfortunate, however, that we can't use, you know. And so we're going to be able to get a Puzzle of Time here and a Floatstone. So let's get that Floatstone out of here. No, we don't need that. And let's check to see that the 4th puzzle is, whether or not that's, because that may end up being prized. And that is the case. Okay, so we're just going to kind of scratch the 4th one for now. And I'm going to play 2 copies here. And we can try to draw some more cards here or get a VS Seeker back potentially as well. Definitely want the double colorless energy back. And I think I'm going to go ahead and pitch and grab an Ultra Ball, since I've got 2 Lampents in hand that I do not really have any desire to be holding on to right now. So we can go ahead and play that, throw 2 Lampents away, and go grab ourselves the third copy of our second copy of Shaman EX. Doing a little bit of incorrect math here. And then, so we can draw some more cards with Shaman. And yuck. Still just a pile of doo-doo. Not what we want to be looking at here. So, go ahead and play that. Discard those 2. And let's try and get something else we might be able to start attacking with here pretty soon. Having a VS Seeker is definitely nice. And then we can free retreat our Pumpkaboo and Night March, and so really keep the Crobat threat down to a single copy on our next turn. So we'll go ahead and do that, and we draw double colorless off the prizes, so that's pretty darn good. And if we can top deck again for 1 turn, we may be able to actually go to Hex Maniac. We're going to see a Crobat here probably pick off our active Joltik. And instead we're going to see it take out the Pumpkaboo, so I guess he's going to be attacking our Joltik here. Regardless, he's going to go up in prizes here, and probably going to... Makes me wonder if he's not going to try to play this game specifically with his bats. Really would not be the worst decision ever. Instead, we see a Shaman go down, so that's free prizes for us. And since the active Crobat is fully evolved, we don't really have to worry too much about that one using its abilities right now. We see a Shauna. In order to use his abilities again, he would have to AZ or Super Scoop up, which I don't think he's going to be doing this turn. And now we do see some EXs start hitting the board, so maybe he just wasn't drawing them. But we're going to be down 2 prizes here, and probably going to be looking to play that Pokemon Catcher and take a bigger knockout. So we can go ahead and promote Combee, can evolve it right away into Vespiquen. So let's see what we have here. It looks like we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 Pokemon on our discard. So we're doing 150 damage, so we need to get a couple more in there. So let's go ahead and attach a double colorless energy and evolve into Vespiquen. We can get one of those 2 Pokemon right here by playing an unknown, and then I guess we'll go ahead and try to take out the Shaman if we can, since that one we do have a sure knockout on, and this VS Seeker can just get us a fresh 7 cards. So we'll go ahead and do that, and Teammates could have been a play here, but I think it's probably just better to try and see how much we can get here. He's only got 1 evolvable bat right now, so we'll go ahead and keep Joltik in hand for the time being. Play our Battle Compressor, so we can get some stuff that we maybe don't want here. Of course, we don't have that much to choose from, so I think I'll just let a Compressor go. Let that Unknown go, because that will give us enough damage. We really just don't need those Battle Compressors, I think, right now. Definitely got to watch how many cards we have left in the deck. Go ahead and use Farewell Letter. And that will net us another Joltik that right now doesn't mean much, but may later on end up doing the trick. And there should be 1 more Vespiquen somewhere. It may end up in the prizes, however. So we'll just be Revenge here for the Magic 170. Get a knockout and see if we can't draw Vespiquen off the prizes. And that's not happening. It may have been in the deck actually just a moment ago when I looked at it. Probably should have been paying a little more attention than that. So we'll see 20 damage come down onto our active Vespiquen. But with no energy on manectric, we will not be seeing the Assault Laser here. And just kind of looking at it and just the fact that we know... I mean, maybe... I just really don't see how we can get knocked out here. And we do see another red card, so... We do get VS Seeker, though, so if we do see a knockout, we'll be able to VS Seeker for Teammates. However, I don't really see how he's going to get a knockout here. He would have had to use Golbat to attack the Combee in order for that to happen. Honestly, kind of surprised we didn't see that, because that would put him a Shaman knockout away from winning the game, and probably in a little better spot than if he were to just attack Vespiquen. We see a Faded Town come off of Trainer's Mail there. Interesting choice. He also did us a favor by putting a few cards back into our deck, which means we can effectively VS Seeker for a Professor Sycamore now without too much concern about decking out. Let's see, we've got 2 VS Seekers in our discard. So even after this one, we still do have 1 more either in the deck or in the prizes. that we can try to dig for. There is also another Pokemon catcher still sitting in the deck. So he goes and grabs a Crobat for the turn. But without being able to get a knockout, this also makes Hex Maniac a potential choice here on the next turn. Really just depending on, I think, what we top deck for the turn. We could also try to Pokemon catcher ourselves into a knockout over here to prevent Crobat from happening. But we're going to see some more damage come down. So next turn he can use Crobat to Sneaky Bite and take a knockout there. So some things going on, but let's see how many. So we got one double colorless on the Vespiquen. I think only one in the discard pile, so I can be okay with that. We're going to look one more time. Count our Night Marchers. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so we can do this, it looks like, to put the 9th one in there, and there is Vespiquen in here, so we could do that, or we can try to do a Shaman draw here. And let's see, looking at our situation here, we could get enough basics to do that, so we're going to put ourselves down to 3 cards off of a Professor Sycamore here, but that's okay. So we're going to get that out. And we're going to go ahead and bench that and then draw ourselves down, because I don't think he finds a way to take all 3 of them out at one time. Of course, a Lysander could allow that to happen, but we're going to try to eliminate the Shaman play here. Alrighty. And so we've got some choices now. However, we still did not draw into our parallel city, so that kind of stinks. So maybe we want to try and aim for a knockout over here. And let's see if we can play that Pokemon catcher and take his Manectric this turn. And we do! Alright, so let's bring the Manectric up front. Play a puzzle of time here and arrange our top 3. Alright, yeah, don't really have any desire to draw Startling Megaphone right now, so we'll just put those 2 double colorless on top. We also have the VS Seeker available. So we're just going to go ahead and be Revenge here for a whole bunch and take a knockout for 2 more prizes. And there's our Parallel City. Not exactly the place we wanted it to be in, but nonetheless we're able to use it. So we'll see Crobat come down here and take something out. So that's going to be Joltik. So it looks like he's going to get a knockout with his attack onto our Vespiquen. So really, I guess at this point, just kind of hoping that we don't see a Lysander for one of our Shamans, since we did discard our second Floatstone. So we see another Zubat come down. And instead, it's just a skill dive to knock out our active Vespiquen, dropping our opponent down to 1 prize. But our top card is a double colorless energy, and we do have another Vespiquen ready to go. Also have a Joltik in hand in case we had needed it, as well as a VS Seeker if we had needed to bring another supporter back. So our opponent's going to hopefully draw a prize card here. There we go. And we're just going to bring our next Vespiquen out, attach an energy, and proceed to seal the game. So we'll use Be Revenge, get a knockout, and win the game. And so that is our first match, and there's a win right there against Manectric Bats, or I guess Batman, because it sounds a little cooler. So that's our first game, so we're going to go ahead and do one more now, just to see if we can't hit a different matchup. Okay, so we're playing against Mojang. I apologize if I mispronounce any of these names. So a fairy colorless deck. Well, that looks fairly colorless to me. So, bad jokes aside, Sylveon sleeves, blah blah, etc. And so we got an opening hand, we got a Battle Compressor, we got a Joltik, we got a VS Seeker. Cool, cool. Seems like good stuff. So we'll just go ahead and start that out, and we're going against Gardy. And hey, it even looks colorless. I mean, that's just going to be the Shamans, but kind of cool to see a Gardevoir deck. And so there's an Ultra Ball, Max Potion, and Fairy Garden. Still getting used to that new artwork on Max Potions. We see a Shaman EX come out right away. There's Fairy Garden. And Shaman for 5 cards. Don't Life Leap me, bro. Oh boy. So, fresh hand, and so it looks like we'll be looking at Aromatisse here pretty soon. We see Level Ball for probably another Spritzy. Instead, he just goes directly for Aromatisse, so We've got that in hand, and our opponent passes turn, so we can go ahead and put the Combi we top decked down. And we can... oh, geez. Yeah, I think I'm good with that. Put an Unknown down. Play Battle Compressor. And get a Professor Sycamore out of here, along with a couple of those Lampents that we don't want to draw. So 1, 2, and 3. Just like that. And then we can play an Ultra Ball here. Really don't need the Floatstone at the moment. And let's get another Unknown. Let's draw some additional cards and set ourselves up here. So we can go ahead and throw that on the bench and go right into a Professor Sycamore. So take a fresh 7. We still did not get an energy, but we have Ultra Ball, so that's okay. Let's go ahead and Ultra Ball these 2 cards away first. And go for a Shaman. Let's see how many of those are in the prizes. Looks like one of our Shamans is prized. And so we can go ahead and throw down a Floatstone up here, just in case. And, yeah, we can do that. Put him down. And we will draw 4 cards. Save the Puzzle of Time for either if we draw a second one or to use with Unknown. We do draw a second copy, so that's kind of cool. So we can do what we want now. We got 5 Night Marchers in the discard. So why don't we go ahead and pop one of these Unknowns. Okay. Oh, another double colorless energy. Well, that's fun. Let's see. We can get Battle Compressor off of Puzzle of Time, which can get us 3 more Night Marchers in our discard pile, so I'm a fan of that. We'll play 2 copies, and we will get Battle Compressor. Look at our hand here. See, that's not a thing in our hand anymore. The rest of that, we do still have an Ultra Ball, so that's good. I guess if nothing else, we can just get an Unknown and draw another card. We do have a VS Seeker already, so yeah, I think it's just going to be an Unknown here. So we'll get those 2. Unknown's just going to go right back to the discard here in a moment. We'll play the Battle Compressor here and get, let's see, a couple more Lampents. Actually, I think we only have one more. I think we discarded one out of our hand. Just go through and make sure. Yeah, okay. So that'll bring us up to 8 Night Marchers in our discard pile. Still need to hit one more here, so maybe we can draw one off of Unknown. Geez. Other thing here we could try to do is draw for another Shaman. Yeah, I can be okay with that, actually. I'm just pitching that instead. We'll try to draw 3 cards instead, and then we still have one more Unknown on our bench, and we have only one more Night Marcher in our deck, so really kind of trying to hit... ugh, that's gross. So I'm going to go ahead and forgo the extra card here, I guess, just to try and draw some cards here, because I don't know where we're going to be putting that energy yet. We do hit the Battle Compressor, so stroke of luck there. We can let Hex Maniac go for now. Let's see, how many VS Seekers? We got 1, 2 in here. We'll let the Joltik go. I'm going to leave a Compressor just for later in case we hit the Mega Evolution. I'll be okay with letting Lysander go for now. That does give us the final Night Marcher we needed, however, and gives us one other play that I really like here. We can play Parallel City, bench locking ourselves, and knocking a pair of Shamans off our bench. We could have also knocked the Joltik off our bench here to do the extra damage if necessary. Go ahead and pop the Unknown. Maybe we get like a Vespiquen or something, or another Unknown. Catwoman's apparently here to say hi. Not the first time this video that's happened. We got like the whole Batman gang going on. And so instead we're going to see another Combi, so probably should have compressed away the teammates. We're going to attach that to the one that doesn't have a Floatstone, get a free retreat benefit here, and just Night March all over this thing for a knockout. So we'll have more energy waiting. Maybe we hit a B off the... Oh, we hit another... Okay, we hit another Joltik. That's fine. So if we see a Sky Return knockout here, probably going to be the play. Assuming our opponent runs double colorless, which in a Gardevoir build could go either way. So we see a Trainer's Mail there for an Ultra Ball. Let's see where we go from here. So we're just going to see our opponent pass the turn. So, not too much going on there. And we do have... Okay, we do have Lysander in the discard pile, so we can just kind of take away our opponent's options here, I feel like. I'm going to go ahead and do that, as opposed to taking the additional prize, which would normally be the strategy. She opted not to evolve into Aromatisse here, so we're going to bring that one up. And I'm going to throw down an energy on our next Joltik and just let the attacking continue. I'm not sure if 180 was enough for that knockout originally, but apparently it was. So we'll take one prize, which turns out to be a Shaman that we don't have bench space for, and go right back to our opponent's turn. And another pass turn, so it looks like just like that we're going to win. I don't know if he or she's got a dead hand or what's going on, but I'll take the win. So we're going to go ahead and do one more then. Okay, so maybe we'll see more of a game here. It looks like a water deck, so maybe a Greninja? Greninja would be interesting to go up against. There's Absol doing its dirty work once again. Not sure if I want to go second against Greninja. I think we're going to go ahead and go first, only to watch this be like daily challenge water deck or something. So our opponent's got no basics, so we're going to lead with Combee and choose not to bench anything. And so we see Octillery, Skyla, Birch, a whole bunch of energy. Yep, okay, there's the splash energy. So it looks like we are going up against Froggies. So let's enjoy. Oh, geez, we got a whole different hand this time full of trainers. Just we see the Rough Seas, the Die Trevenant Die card. And there's Greninja Break. Ace Trainer's kind of interesting. It's nifty. But anyway, oh my goodness. 3 mulligans. Well, I guess it's a good thing for our opponent that I don't draw mulligans in playtesting. I really don't want to have to rely on those. Oh, jeez. Okay, so now usually I do know that Greninja decks don't run very many basics. They maybe run a couple of Remoraid's and the 4 copies of Froakie. So I guess we're getting practically a deck profile here of this Greninja deck, which I may be doing a live deck profile of my Greninja deck here pretty soon, but finally we see a basic. So I'm going to say no to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 options for mulligan draws, and our opponent leads with the Remoraid. Yikes! So we'll put a Joltik down, and I'm going to go ahead and throw these 2 supporters away for the time being. Yeah, let's get another Combee. Probably should grab a Vespiquen, but we don't do our chores around here. Floatstone, sure, whatever. He's gonna have free retreat when he grows, or she's gonna have free retreat when she grows up anyway. Vespiquens can only be female. Hi, Catwoman. Okay, so we got a VS Seeker for later, I guess. So we'll use Farewell Letter. Oh, yuck. That's gross. I don't want that. Get out of my hand. Yeah, I'm just gonna leave that in the active spot past turn. Who knows, maybe our opponent won't get a Floatstone or a switch. So, Dive Ball. Oh, God. Blue balls. Come on, guys. So, see Froakie. Let's see if... hopefully we don't end up with... Well... Actually, no, I'd be okay with the Bubble Stall, because it looks like we're just gonna... We would just try to evolve. Instead, we just see a turn pass. Yikes. So, we draw a double colorless. And we're gonna attach that back here. And we don't have any Night Marchers anyway. So this hand is just a pile of dog poop. So I'm just gonna pass. And watch Rare Candy Greninja happen here. For the record, our opponent did get a second Dive Ball, just didn't play it, so could very easily be Rare Candy Greninja. Which could then turn around, snipe our Joltik off the bench, come up, and then just smack Combee for 2 prizes. But instead we see another pass, and so there's a Professor Sycamore, so that's good. So we're going to attach to other Vespiquen here. We're going to try to play... that's not going to work out. Alrighty, fine. We'll throw it. There's Vespiquen. Alrighty. Ugh. Well, at least we can get another Shaman if we need to. So we're going to evolve the one that doesn't have a Floatstone. And play another Pokemon Catcher here. That one's working. There we go. That's what I want to see. I mean, we have enough in there. I'm content with that. That's about all we need right now. Blah, blah, blah. Be revenge. Splat. Fun stuff. And we'll take a prize. Oh. Well, I guess I'm glad I didn't Ultra Ball yet, because that's an even better discard candidate. Another dive ball. So we see the second one come down now, so probably another Froakie at this point. Maybe was holding on to it for that exact reason. Probably not the worst play in the world. Actually, probably probably a better decision when you look at the situation. So we see Wally. So there's Frogadier. And with an energy here, we will see water duplicates. And we'd be saying goodbye to this guy, but to put 3 more of them on the bench, that's not too shabby. We'll see Evo Soda. So here comes this guy. Now, he's got 2 retreat instead of 1. And we're going to see Abyssal Hand after Rough Seas comes down. Maybe... So no energy on the Frogadier here. Nice little rhyme. Alright, so we will try to pull for something. I don't know how effective Shaman's going to be in this situation. I guess we could play Puzzle of Time to get an extra card and decide if it's worth it or not. We don't have any puzzles in here, I don't think. Kind of wanted to be able to do it twice and get catchers back, but whatever. Oh, there's a VS Seeker. That's cool. And we're going to draw all 3 of them anyway. So the question now becomes, do I even want to use that VS Seeker right now? I kind of like the idea of getting teammates with it. So... Oh, wait. Impledo Supporter. We got Lysander down here. Yeah, let's just Lysander. Bring that thing up. Just kind of keep Greninja off the board, because once it comes out, it can just really start taking a lot of prizes real fast, and we don't want that happening if we don't have Hex Maniac available for streaming. So we do draw another Vespiquen off the prizes. That's good to see. We'll be able to evolve our other one, and an Ace Trainer. So there is the Ace Trainer we saw in 2 or 3 of those mulligan hands coming down and just dropping us to 3 cards. Our opponent gets 6, and we do not get a supporter off that, or another Vespiquen even, so... This could be very painful if we see our one Vespiquen get knocked out here. Fortunately, we do have another energy, so our Joltik can become an attacker. Abyssal Hand draws 1 after 2 failed Trainer's Mails. But a pass turn will end the game just like that. So Vespiquen just holding its ground. A couple of Pokemon catcher plays, resulting in one of them being heads, and a Lysander, keeping Greninja off the board completely. So that's one way to deal with it. Keep him from getting water duplicates, but again, I think our opponent just drew a little poorly that game. But that is Vespi March, Night March Vespiquen, whatever. Again, I got the original list from Andrew Mahone. Special shout out to him, as well as to Trainer Wolf for some of the playtesting that we did when I originally built this deck. So shout out to those guys, and to PokeBeach for being an awesome site to write for. Check out my latest article on Trevenant Break. It's got my deck list and all that stuff. We'll be on PokeBeach Live here in a couple of days. And other than that, more videos coming very soon, and I hope to see you guys all. I'll see my next event will be Indiana States in a little less than 2 weeks. So hope to see you guys there. Cheers.